Albert Einstein once said, "In the middle of adversity lies opportunity." One constant in human history is that there will always be a disaster waiting to happen. And another constant is that there will always be people trying to profit off of those disasters. One of the greatest crises of our times is the global COVID-19 pandemic, which at the time of this writing has infected millions and killed over 140,000 people. With lock-in orders intended to limit the spread of the disease, certain industries, from entertainment to food service, have been hit hard, with small businesses suffering the worst of all. But today, we're talking about the companies cashing in on COVID-19. Some are the ones you might expect, but others are sure to surprise you. While typical face-to-face businesses like bars, movie theaters, traditional retail, and eat-in restaurants have taken a pretty brutal nosedive, the same cannot be said for a number of companies in the technology sector. The intangible nature of software allows big tech workers to continue to do their jobs remotely, while millions of others have been furloughed or even laid off entirely. But there's actually even more to this. The demand and use of a number of apps and software has risen dramatically in the new shut-in economy, a term coined by San Francisco journalist Lauren Smiley. Let's take a closer look at some of the tech companies cashing in. Firstly, workplace productivity apps have suddenly become fixtures of modern work life. Companies like Slack, a workplace organization and communication program, have experienced a huge influx of paying users. Slack added 7,000 new users in February alone, which is an astonishing 40% more members than they typically add in even 3 months. And this climbed further as the crisis deepened into March and early April. Remote productivity software has quickly become the lifeblood of companies that would otherwise be crippled by all the mandatory quarantine measures. Services like this are so useful that we even use them to help make this show. The same can be said for competitor Microsoft Teams, as well as video connectivity programs like Zoom and Discord, which have been employed for everything from international business meetings to high school and college classrooms. Zoom's parent company experienced a meteoric surge of 94% in its stock value since the start of 2020. In a time when quarantine has physically isolated us, it's no surprise that companies built to connect us over long distances are raking it in. Even Skype has noted major spikes in usage. By this same token, another company called Boku, which allows people to buy products and services by simply lumping the cost into their phone bill, has experienced a 30% rise in payment volumes over January and February. And according to Boku's upper management, ground zero for this unexpected growth were countries getting hit by the coronavirus at the time. Many have predicted that even after the pandemic, the convenience and effectiveness of working from home and using these technologies might cause fundamental structural changes to the business world. But that's a topic big enough for another video. While these companies help businesses stay productive during a time of unprecedented modern crisis, productivity isn't worth much without food. After all, pandemic or no pandemic, people still need to eat. Sit-in restaurants are pretty much out of the question in most places across the globe. While brick-and-mortar grocery stores are still trading, quarantine restrictions and understandable customer skittishness has reduced foot traffic in stores across the globe. This has led to a home delivery renaissance benefiting a number of companies. One of these companies is the Ocado Group, an online grocery retailer that delivers products to consumers straight out of their warehouses, cutting out the middleman entirely. Ocado has reported, quote, exceptionally high demand since the advent of COVID-19 pandemic. The same can be said for other food delivery services. Postmates, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Just Eat, and home delivery pizza services like Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Papa John's have experienced a pandemic business boom. Grocery stores, which provide home delivery services, have also managed to take advantage of the quarantine, often running out of delivery slots at startling speeds. This is largely due to mostly unwarranted fears of sudden scarcity. People have been bulk ordering groceries and canned goods like they're preparing for all-out nuclear war. Speaking of canned goods, Campbell's Soup has been weathering the storm of the pandemic as demand spiked for long-lasting, easy-to-store goods. Wall Street experts anticipate that share prices for the soup company are likely to climb over the course of the pandemic. Hormel Foods is expected to financially benefit from all those same market trends. And in case you're wondering, no, the coronavirus pandemic hasn't affected the bottom line for Corona beer, no matter what goofy clickbait headlines tell you. But it's not just groceries people are ordering in. It's pretty much everything. Amazon and Alibaba, a multinational e-commerce company among other things, have been commanding the consumer goods market during the pandemic. These companies are actively benefiting from the closure of other retail options under the quarantine. As financial analyst Jim Keller puts it, as more and more businesses shutter or move to online operations and more consumers shelter in their homes, we expect traffic on the Amazon site to increase. In their boredom, people have been buying everything from books to games to exercise equipment to fill the extra time spent inside. Many of the physical products on this list, including the health products we'll talk about a little later, are also bought via Amazon rather than directly from their manufacturers. Even some of the online services we've already mentioned, such as Slack and Zoom, take advantage of Amazon Web Services. Demand has grown so high in the midst of the pandemic that Amazon has declared its intention to hire an additional 100,000 full and part-time employees in the US, even as unemployment continues to spike elsewhere across the country. Incidentally, before you start seeing Amazon as a knight in shining armor during this pandemic, there have been widespread strikes in Amazon's so-called fulfillment centers over insane work hours, inadequate pay, and most relevantly, no personal protective equipment against viral infections. Seeing as Amazon has already faced scandals for overworked employees dropping dead in warehouses, it's understandable that Amazon's workers don't want a sudden outbreak of COVID-19 adding to workplace risks. Workers' rights abuses aside, there are some profiting off the COVID-19 outbreak in a far more direct way. Novacyte plc is a cellular diagnostics company who made news recently for one of its products, the Prime Design Diagnostic Test, which was approved by the World Health Organization as a viable large-scale test for COVID-19. Novacyte shares received an impressive almost 20% bump after the news broke. Tens of thousands of tests were ordered immediately, with additional quotes requested by around 30 countries. The World Health Organization has cited extensive testing to be one of the key factors in controlling the pandemic, so the Prime Design diagnostic tests provided by Novacyte are truly worth their weight in gold right now. The same can absolutely be said for a number of companies providing disinfectants and personal protection equipment, with vaccines still a long way off and no viable drugs developed for treating the disease so far. Regardless of what you may have heard about hydroxychloroquine, the prevention is currently more valuable than anything claiming to be the cure. Since iodine was selected as a valuable disinfectant in the fight against COVID-19, iodine production company Iofina plc is expected to see a huge bump in demand. Clorox, Dettol, and Lysol have also reported sudden increases in demand, both from individual consumers and larger entities like hospitals and high-traffic consumer spaces. Masks and gloves are also more valuable than ever. Take, for example, Symphony Environmental Technologies plc. This company is known for its Protector Health and Hygiene antimicrobial gloves, but it actually has a full range of antimicrobial disposal medical garments, including surgical gowns, isolation gowns, face masks, and hospital waste bags. With items like these experiencing dire shortages in hospitals the world over, demand has literally never been higher. Symphony saw its shares triple in value after their line of antimicrobial food packaging was approved for wide usage by the US government. The tech and medical worlds cross over in companies like Teladoc, a company that facilitates virtual house calls with doctors over remote video link, which has seen drastically increased demand during the pandemic. Pharmaceutical giants whose products provide both medical help and psychological comfort to frightened consumers are unsurprisingly expected to benefit from the current conditions. Johnson & Johnson and Procter & Gamble are too expected to make serious bank off COVID-19. The same can be said for Gilead Sciences, one of the companies at the forefront of treatment and vaccine development for COVID-19. It goes without saying that any pharmaceutical company that can provide a viable solution to the pandemic is guaranteed to get rich off it. Now we've covered the companies making bank off of keeping you productive and safe during the COVID-19 pandemic, but what about the companies keeping you sane? That's right, we're talking about good old-fashioned quarantine entertainment. Theaters, bars, and concerts are out of the question. So which companies are getting richer by staving off the intense boredom and anxiety of having to stay inside your house all day? Well, first of all, the platform you're watching this video on right now, YouTube. YouTube anticipated such an impressive spike in usage while everyone is stuck at home, they placed some caps on video quality in order to preserve valuable bandwidth under the new pressures of the pandemic. The exact same technique was employed by Netflix, who also capped their streaming quality in Europe to cope with an influx of new customers. According to Forbes, Netflix's traffic has hit an all-time high during the various global lockdowns caused by the global pandemic, with recent hits like Tiger King becoming worldwide sensations to a housebound population. Hulu, Disney+, HBO Go, and a number of other companies have also grabbed a slice of the boredom streaming pie, taking advantage of the increased free time of millions of people all over the world. But there's plenty of successes to be found in more interactive forms of entertainment too. Video sharing services like TikTok have experienced increased usage, particularly in China, where people use the app to spread information about the ongoing situation from the ground level. Video games have also been absolutely raking it in, with esports filling the void that regular sports have left behind. and millions of gamers picking up their controllers to log some impressive in-game hours. Nintendo's hit game Animal Crossing New Horizons has also become a mega hit during social isolation, providing comforting entertainment to a lot of concerned Switch users. Online games like the new Call of Duty Warzone, a free-to-play first-person shooter from Activision, have also found massive success thanks to pretty much everyone but essential service workers being stuck at home. And finally, in terms of entertainment, we have porn. Yep, adult entertainment has experienced an absolute boom since the beginning of the global quarantine measures, seeing as millions of people are now stuck indoors with a lot of tension to relieve. Pornhub reported an 18% jump in its already impressively high traffic as millions of anxious people flooded to the site. Joshua B. Grubbs, a professor of clinical psychology who specializes in pornography, suggested that this sudden influx is likely a result of people looking for a temporary respite from the boredom and fear of living under quarantine. But is it just large companies trying to make bank off our current crisis? Nope. Of course, there are plenty of individual hucksters and con men trying to cash in on the pandemic from day one, to variable success. A man was arrested in Michigan for selling toilet paper for $60 a pack out of the back of his car, taking advantage of people's fear and desperation. And even that pales in comparison to the case of Matt and Noah Colvin, two brothers from Tennessee who hoarded 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer and attempted to sell them at inflated prices on Amazon to turn a profit. Because there is sometimes justice in this world, Amazon closed the Colvin brothers' store, and the two of them had to give up their sanitizer supplies to the local government for redistribution. So while some companies are lucky enough to be riding the wave while the rest of us are drowning, metaphorically speaking, if you're the kind of person who sees a global pandemic as a good opportunity to make some easy money, you're probably just better off staying at home. Now, keep informed with some of our other videos on the COVID-19 pandemic, like what is it like to actually have COVID-19? And what if the COVID-19 pandemic lasts 18 months or more? In the meantime, stay safe, stay indoors, and wear a mask if you can, and wash your hands.